This is a video taking you through starting an ABRSM online music theory exam. Now, the first thing to say is that you'll notice I'm wearing a headset here. That's just so that I can talk to you and you can hear me whilst I'm doing this demonstration. No candidate should wear headphones or earpieces on the day of the exam. We can't hear what you're listening to, so that's not allowed. So as I say, I'm just wearing this for the purposes of this demonstration. So once you launch the exam system, we'll get to this page. In the exam information section at the top, we select ABRSM, and then here where it says pick your exam, you choose the exam that you are taking. That's the exam you have entered for and are expecting to take. I'm just choosing practice exam here for this candidate who's about to take an exam. And next here we put the test taker information in. So that's the name of the candidate, the person taking the exam. Their first name and last name need to be put in here, and that should be their full name as it appears on the ID that we're going to see later on in the login process. So if you use a long name on your passport, so Matthew for example, and you're known as Matt, make sure you just include Matthew there so we can just match the two up correctly at the point where we do that in this process. Candidate's email address in there and the phone number. Now I've left that blank here. It's not essential. It would only be used by PSI technical support team on the day of the exam should there be any issues throughout the exam. Once that information is put in, we click next to move on. So next, this is a candidate notice, general exam information. It tells you the system we're logging on to now, the RP Now system. It records the desktop, the webcam and the microphone. So we can both hear and see what happens in the exam room throughout the assessment. It also has some reminders there of not having any prohibited, any banned items in the exam room, and that if there was a piano, that should be closed and things like that. So once you've read all the information, click next to move on. So here, this is a quick security check. So we need to make sure there's nothing running in the background, so no internet browsers or word processors running that shouldn't be used. And also there's only one monitor attached, so we can just make sure that we know what's happening on that recording of the exam. So I've got 2 ticks here, and that's passed for me. The system runs this automatically for you. You don't have to do anything, and there will be prompts on the screen, and it will automatically close down programs as required. As I say, and you can see here, there are 2 green ticks here. That means I've passed both these checks and I can click next to move on. So now we get to the ID photo instructions page. So I'm going to move out of the way. I'm not the candidate taking the exam, and the candidate is going to sit down and do this part for themselves. So what we need to do here is present the candidate's ID. So you can use the identification form that's from our website, downloadable from our website, or a passport. It does need to be a photo ID there. So you have to line it up within that white box and hold it really steadily, and then click Take ID Photo underneath. So the system now shows us that photo. We don't need to see the candidate in that photo as well. It just needs to be the ID. So don't worry about putting it next to the candidate's face. It's just the ID photo at that point. So we can see here that it is a true likeness, and it's centered, it's not blurry, it's been held very still. And we can click to confirm that that's okay and then move on. If we wanted to retake that photo, we can do. Click the Retake Photo ID Photo button here on the left-hand side. But as I say, this for me is centered nicely. It's not blurry, it's been held still, and it shows the right information. So I'm going to confirm that ID photo. So now we need to do a room scan. So I'm going to do this room scan because it's quite a young candidate and it's a bit easier if I do it, isn't it? So we're going to take out the things from the side of the laptop that we don't need. And then we're going to click the button Start Room Scan. Now we need to show the proctor here. So that's the person reviewing the video after the exam, exactly what is in the exam room. So you can see very clearly here, it's very important that we see the desk or the surface area the candidate's working on, whether you're working on a desk or on a table, or even some people sort of work on their laps. We just need to see the entire area surrounding the candidate. So we can see the desk there very clearly. Now we can see in front of the desk, there's nothing on the wall now, so that's on the wall there. So that's the area beyond the laptop where the laptop's going to be, and the wall at the side there. We're also going to go around here and just check the other side of that room. Now there is a piano there, but the lid is closed and there's no musical notation on show. Just going to go back to the candidate. We're just moving really slowly around the room, checking there's nothing there on her lap or anything, and she's got her blank paper in her hand, which she's now going to show to the camera. So we just need to see that blank paper, please. If you show up to the camera, that's it, both sides of that paper. That's it. And the next piece. So that's the blank manuscript paper on the other side of that one. Just checking there's nothing on there. That's great. And finally, the candidate ID form, but just show there's nothing on the back of that one. And that's the ID form there. So once we've shown all of that, we can click Stop Room Scan. Now this is our opportunity to re-watch that room scan, and we can see exactly what the proctors are going to see. So we need to make sure, as I've said before, that we really see that desk or surface area the candidate's working on and surrounding areas to make sure there's nothing there that the candidate could use throughout their exam. We wouldn't want to have to investigate any possible cheating or malpractice investigation. So it's really important we see there the exam area so that we know the exam is done under exam conditions. So as I say, we're moving around quite methodically, quite slowly as we can, and we're just seeing the area surrounding the candidate's working space. Back to the candidate there, just really honing in on that desk, making sure there's nothing else there, nothing on the candidate's lap that they could be using. And then, as I say, just confirming that blank paper before we start the exam. So we need to make sure there's nothing on that paper, no notes written on there before the exam starts. The piece of manuscript paper there again. And the ID form. If you haven't got a laptop that you can use here, you can actually use a mobile phone, but it's really, really important that you take the video of the exam room after you have already pressed Start Room Scan. We need to know that it's done in real time, so it's not been done before the exam and then something's been brought into the exam room. We need to have that done at the same time. And then also make sure you show the proctor or you show the video exactly where you're putting the mobile phone or the device that you're using afterwards, so they know if you're referring to it throughout the exam. So once you're confident that room scan shows exactly what it needs to show, it's shown the desk, it's shown the walls, it's shown the working, the area surrounding the candidate, you can click that button on the screen to confirm that it's clear, and then on the right hand side there, confirm the room or desk scan. Now this is the candidate's ID photo. I'm going to step back there. This is a photograph of the candidate taking the exam. So the candidate needs to make sure their head's in the white square on the screen, and when they're happy, just click the Take User Photo button. It's a short countdown, and it takes the photograph of the candidate. Now that's great. We're happy that's not a blurry picture of the candidate. We can click that button. We have the option of retaking that again with the button on the left, but we're confident that shows the candidate's true likeness in relation to their ID, and click Confirm User Photo to move on. Now that's the exam setup done, so that's launching into the exam. So please do see the next video, which takes you through logging into the exam system itself and the different question types in the assessment.